So Judge Netburn has recently granted the SEC's motion to seal something. What are they sealing? Well, I'm going to tell you what they're actually sealing and why Ripple actually asked them to seal it and what that could mean for the end of this case, because as I believe it, we are wrapping up towards the end of this case. So there's a couple things that we need to talk about: settlement, summary judgment, and what's going to happen to XRP. And as many people are jumping on board that the end of the year is going to be a huge, massive bull run for the crypto market, there's a few predictions that some of the biggest names in the financial sector, in economics, and they're making their Bitcoin predictions. So I'm going to tell you what a few of them are saying for Bitcoin, the crypto market cap as a whole, and who actually owns more Bitcoin than Michael Saylor. And of course, as the crypto market continues to grow, you're going to see more and more governmental influence and governmental regulation of the crypto market, or at least the attempt of it. Right now, there is a Republican candidate who is running for senator that I'm going to tell you a little bit about what he's saying the United States government should do with Bitcoin. And it coincides exactly with what China is doing with Bitcoin. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome back to the Late Night Grind. Right now on this channel, we are covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, along with other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any of those topics interest you at all, make sure you're subscribed. Also hit that bell notification icon so that YouTube will send you a notification when I release a new video. And if you're feeling really generous today, I'd really appreciate it if you do two things. Number one, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. And number two, watch this video all the way to the end. It really helps out. Those are the two best things that you can do to support a YouTube channel. So if you guys would do that, I'd really appreciate it. All right, so let's jump into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is some of the big predictions that are coming for the end of the year relating to Bitcoin, the Bitcoin price, the crypto market, the market cap, some of the altcoins, etc. So recently there's been some big speculations. Obviously Michael Saylor, who is known as a Bitcoin maximalist, who owns over 109,000 Bitcoins, says there is going to be a big push by the end of the year, but even he isn't necessarily looking just to the end of the year. He has his eyes set on further down the road. He's one of the macro predictors that Bitcoin specifically is going to have such a massive market cap. Now his prediction is that somewhere down the road that just Bitcoin alone could have a $100 trillion market cap. Now that of course would require Bitcoin being worth multi-million dollars per Bitcoin. Some of the speculative models suggest that it could definitely get there in some time, but it ain't gonna happen this year. But Raoul Paul, who incidentally had a little bit of an argument with Michael Saylor over one of their live streams about what is or isn't a security, which is interesting because Michael Saylor in the past has gotten into some trouble regarding some securities fraud and investigations. But nonetheless, Raoul Paul, who is a former Goldman Sachs executive, he's been having kind of the same thoughts regarding Bitcoin, but his thoughts are more geared to the crypto market as a whole. He thinks there's going to be a massive run-up, still calculating a $200,000 to $300,000 Bitcoin, possibly a $15,000 to $20,000 Ethereum price by the end of the year. I think this market cycle is going to go into the first quarter of 2021, but we'll see. But nonetheless, Raoul Paul thinks that Bitcoin could be so big in the future that essentially it will stabilize global financial markets, because of the obvious reasons that if you're in crypto, you kind of already know that Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation, it's more of a store of value, and you can do a whole bunch of things on top of it. In fact, Raoul Paul said in the future that we'll be actually building applications on top of the Bitcoin network. It's not necessarily just a transfer of value. Interesting thought. So is it actually a security? Because if it acts like Facebook, but performs like money, well, you can see why the government is absolutely clueless as to how to regulate something like that. But nonetheless, the government is trying to step in and figure it out. But there is a new Republican senatorial candidate from Arizona, Blake Masters. Now, he has to win the race against a few very prominent people in Arizona to actually run and fight for that Senate seat for the Republicans. Here's an interesting thing. That seat that is going to be fought for in Arizona, that's going to be one of the more important states that could help flip the Senate for Republicans and thus put Gary Gensler in the hot seat. Okay, so what is he saying that the United States should do? He's saying that the United States should just buy Bitcoin. Just invest in Bitcoin, add it to its holdings. I mean, for crying out loud, the Treasury's adding to its holdings by trillions of dollars per year. Why not spend some of that on Bitcoin? Why? Well, for a couple of reasons. He points out that it could be a reverse asset against what China's doing, which is banning Bitcoin, banning cryptocurrencies. But the interesting thing about that is China is actually a massive holder of Bitcoin. Even though they banned their people from using it, mining it, transacting with it, doing anything with it, China actually holds 194,000 Bitcoins. Now talk about a little bit of a threat from somebody who could kind of upend a system. Imagine them dumping that on the market all at once. Now, I don't think they'll do that because they have their own issues they have to deal with, notably having to print more money to support Evergrande from them going belly up in China and affecting the global markets even more. So Blake Masters said the US should do that, should buy Bitcoin, so should support it as a reverse asset. But not only that, it could create a structural hedge against China should China decide to dump. It's a very smart way of looking at it. And now with the Ripple versus SEC, there is some somewhat breaking news that just came out earlier today, in which earlier, about a week ago, the SEC had filed a motion to the judge asking the judge to seal certain parts of their answers to interrogatories that they had to answer. Now, they did that actually in conjunction with Ripple, because if you remember, Ripple actually sent a letter requesting that some of those answers be sealed. Now, why did Ripple do that? Well, because the SEC has some very important business information that Ripple doesn't exactly want the public to see. So they asked for the SEC to seal it. The SEC asked for the judge to seal those answers as well. The judge granted that permission. However, she only did it on an interim basis, and it said in the response that she reserves the right to reverse that depending on the merits of why the SEC actually asked for it to be sealed. Really interesting. Now, of course, there's wild speculation going on, as some people think that the more evidence that gets sealed and the more answers that get sealed on both sides typically points to a scenario in which the case is going to end. A lot of the speculation, of course, revolves around a possible settlement. Now, that's been a speculation since I really started covering this months and months and months ago, but nonetheless, that speculation is still there. However, recent statements by Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse suggest that he's not interested in the settlement because he feels the case is so strong. There is so much high-profile, dirty evidence against what the SEC was actually doing with Bill Hinman's speech, with the venture capital companies in the background, and with Jay Clayton and Bill Hinman's massive conflict of interest with who they were working with and receiving money from before, during, and after their time at the SEC. Brad Garlinghouse thinks that a win is imminent. He's willing to let this ride out, unless the SEC actually gives clarity to what XRP is, which is a non-security digital asset. We're going to see if the SEC actually caves in on that, or if this thing's going to go to trial. So I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think is going to happen? Because in my opinion, I don't think settlement's in the cards. However, we could be looking at summary judgment for Ripple, which means Ripple could just ask for a summary judgment before they even go to trial, or they could actually go to trial and fight this out in the ring, which the public would then get to see all the inner workings of what's going on, even more so than we are right now. But regardless, if you've been following my videos as well as other XRP YouTubers, you'd be seeing that Ripple's most likely going to win this case. I think the SEC has to know that. I think Ripple knows that. I even think the judge knows that. So if this would go to trial, I don't see how Ripple could lose, but then again, they could. Is there some technicality or loophole that Ripple's defense isn't thinking about? Well, that remains to be seen, but you're going to have to follow along, and in order to do that, you got to make sure you're subscribed to the channel, to the Late Night Grind channel. Make sure those bell notifications are turned on. And if you haven't already, make sure you follow me on Twitter. There is a link down in the description below, as well as a link to attorney John Deaton's website, where he basically updated his blog post, his timeline on the backstory behind this whole case. And if you haven't been keeping up to date, you're going to want to read that, because someday they're going to be making a movie out of this. I'm telling you they are. Well, the price of XRP right now is about 93 cents, but I promise you this, over the course of the next month to 2 months, it will not be trading at 93 cents. And I don't advise you to buy or sell based on anything I say, because of course these videos are for information and entertainment only. So, once again, I really appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. It really helps out. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.